everyone. Welcome to Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Tucker.
Yeah, it's Monday.
Heard of it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, 2020's been long. It's felt really long.
Yes.
To the point where, like, knowing films like Birds of Prey and Sonic the Hedgehog came out this year is disorienting.
Oof.
So, just as like a pop quiz, was the Area 51 raid this year or last year?
Part of me wants to say 2019, but it also feels like it happened after the Australian wildfires. So I'm going to say that was a February thing.
It was actually a year ago yesterday. Today is the 21st night of September, just for our listeners' sake.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That happened in September of 19?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think like the actual, yeah. I didn't want to believe it either, but I was a little relieved.
Why? Why is that relieving?
Because it means the year isn't that long. That we at least had a year before. The fact that the Area 51 raid was not also something that happened this year makes sense, which given like once quarantine hit, no one could have anyway. So of course it would have had to happen in a random time where people were like, yeah, we'll all just take a bus to the middle of the desert to clap alien cheeks. Like Also, the first 2 weeks of Area 51 memes were some of like the greatest memes in existence.
That whole thing, just the whole thing itself was a meme. I loved it. It was.
I did too.
Oh man,
there's just something about it, and like the spin-offs that people tried to put together, ranging from like comical to dark, and then the darkly comical. Like in Europe, they wanted to do a raid the Vatican.
Yeah, what are they going to do? It's the Vatican.
It's because the tagline for Area 51 was "They can't arrest us all."
Yeah,
and
well, they can. The Vatican cannot, right? Like
right.
That's What are they going to do? Call the Italian army? No, they're not going to help. It's the Italian army. It's.
They haven't been on top of their stuff since Mussolini.
Good old Mussolini.
Yep.
It's kind of disorienting to think that there was a year before this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably the same kind of disorienting, like, the generation before us. It's the same kind of disorienting. There was a time before 9/11. And before that, there was a time before the Vietnam War. And before that, there was a time before the World Wars. I mean,
yeah,
it's fundamentally changing. And because I guess you and I don't have a whole bunch of historical context that we've experienced firsthand, that we've only read about it, this seems like it's the biggest thing to have ever happened. But no, it's the biggest thing to have ever happened in our lifetimes that we were like online and recording memories for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does feel, obviously not that they're necessarily comparable, but it does feel 9/11-esque in just how fundamentally things changed and so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause even watching movies that came out like a few years before, like Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, the fact that they were allowed to run through an airport, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And my parents will tell the story of, we went to an airport, it was probably 2002 or 2003, and I had forgotten a backpack in the airport.
Oh,
and
good.
So my parents had to call and be like, hey, there's an abandoned backpack. It's our 4-year-old's. It's okay.
That's actually a really funny story.
I think that backpack is still somewhere in my parents' house, so we were lucky they didn't do the like Monsters Inc. cover it with a manhole cover, then discreetly blow it up. But
all right, let's play this game. What's worse, the COVID-19 pandemic or 9/11? Go.
As far as death toll goes, COVID's surpassed it.
Okay, well, I'm just talking overall, really, but yes.
Yeah, it's a thing. So this is me being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Why does the whole nation continue to commemorate 9/11 when it just happened in New York? Why do like people in the middle of like the Midwest act like they were personally there? And why do we act like, I don't know, maybe I'm not saying that people can't post like the never forget things, but I feel like those hold more significance for people who live in New York.
National pride, I would say. The whole country came together because it was really the first time in anybody's lifetime that we were attacked on home soil. Everything else happened, vaguely across the ocean, who knows. And even the ensuing war also vaguely happened across the ocean. But that it's national pride, it's that kind of thing. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you are right. It was I think it was a very interesting phenomenon because it hasn't really happened like that. It was the same thing that I imagine. Again, who knows? I mean, people alive today do, obviously. But Pearl Harbor, very, very similar thing.
Yeah.
The entire nation felt that.
Yeah.
And,
but like if I were born in 1937, my connection to Pearl Harbor would be the exact same as it is for me now to 9/11. Like, of course, it's devastating. People were, firemen, first responders, tremendously heroic. I don't know, maybe it's because I do think that like the whole response to it was like way out of proportion, because I feel like eventually we should have been like, this is balanced. You smacked us, we're gonna smack you. But now it's like we've just curb stomped the entire Middle East.
Yeah. Well.
Welcome to our foreign policy segment. Branching out.
Curb stomp the Middle East. Yeah.
That's what we did.
No, it's just the imagery. Because I'm picturing it. Yeah. No. I again, I'm not super familiar with I guess how like the size of the retaliation. But I do know that it was very very large and lasted many years. Many years. Yeah. I don't really know enough about it to like have an opinion on it. I don't know. It just yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and then there's like a whole segment of conspiracy theorists that are like, 9/11 was an inside job, which that's interesting. There are a handful of conspiracies that I'm like, a handful that I'm like, yeah, probably. And then a handful I'm like, absolutely not. 9/11 being an inside job, I'm like, I don't know.
Could be.
That's stuff we're not going to find out for 50, 60 years at least.
Oh, we're never going to find that one out. Are you kidding? That's rebellion territory.
Yeah.
Oh, if they would have to wait, I would say they would have to wait the age of the country as it is now. They would have to wait at least 200 years before they could say anything about that if that were the case.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah.
I figure at the very least, Bush, Powell, and Donald Rumsfeld have to be dead.
Oh, long gone. Yeah. But just imagine the backlash, the outcry, if it was proven or like declassified that 9/11 was an inside job. Just imagine, even 100 years from now, because that's like, first responders' grandchildren. They knew. Right? They knew the people who went in there.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
They'll be upset.
That's true. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where it would be insane to fathom that it would be true.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just like little things that have happened throughout history that I'm like, I wouldn't put it past.
Sure.
My federal government.
Okay, well,
especially when we invaded Iraq. Iraq had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's play this game again. Let's say it came out today. I go on the internet, and sources confirm that Pearl Harbor was an inside job so that we could go to war against Japan, and no longer, I guess, we would have an excuse to go to war, because in World War II, America didn't want to go to war.
Right.
For whatever reason, image reasons, they didn't want to repeat of World War I, but at some point, things were starting to threaten their interests, so they needed something to get the Americans on their side. They needed something to get the general populace angry at the Axis. So, Pearl Harbor was an inside job. Do you think that people would get angry about that today, given that we dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan mainland?
Oh, absolutely. It's a thing where, in some ways, it's like a power move to wait to say things like that, because it's like, who do you shake your fist at? Like, who do you get angry at? Like, do you go and spit on FDR's grave? Like,
I think at that point, the vague notion of the establishment is all you have left.
Right. And it's like dangling truth in front of a person and being like, what are you going to do about it? Because, like, how deep does it go, and how deep are we actually allowed to see into? Because, I mean, like, in World War One, our reasons for going to war were tenuous at best. Like, the Lusitania sank, and we were like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll go to war.
That's right. I forgot about that one. It sank, so we went to war.
Yeah, and the only reason we went to war in Vietnam was to stop communism, and because we thought the French were doing a terrible job.
Well, I mean, that's communism. People were already upset about communism. They didn't need to do anything about that. You know,
right.
The only good commie's the one that's dead. Am I right, comrade? But then, notwithstanding, it just seems interesting. And I completely forgot about. You just said the word, the boat,
the Lusitania.
Lusitania. It just gets caught up in my mouth because I don't say words no good. And so the Lusitania. I mean, that one's believable that it was, that it was sunk. Wow. Are we above it? No. It's all.
No.
It's like. And it's almost like a recursive metaphor, but it's almost like the rest of America, like America is the world's California. We need to be like we all don't want. We're all like very peace loving. Like, oh, we need to be like out of like don't go to war, things like that. They need to be like almost triggered into it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Lusitania.
Speaking of, as a coincidence, today is International Day of Peace. So we're just like hitting all the timely conversations.
When was the last time there was peace? Are we technically at war with anyone right now?
I mean, we're like occupying countries.
Okay.
And we're still doing drone strikes and stuff.
Sure. But we're not like officially, I guess we aren't, because that's one of the big selling points, right? That
we haven't officially declared war. Honestly, it might be back as far as 1812. It might be World War One. But there has not been like an official declaration of war for a while.
No, there had to have been a declaration of war for after 9/11. Not sure against whom, but
I don't know.
Because I know one of the big selling points that people are trying to push for Trump to get reelected is that, well, at least he didn't go to war with anyone. Which, okay, yes, fine. But like I'm just trying to think, is that true of other presidents? Did Obama go to war? Bush went to war, I thought. Maybe he didn't officially.
So there have only been 11 official declarations of war by Congress. Great Britain in 1812, war with Mexico in 1846.
Okay.
Spain in 1898, Germany in 1917. Mm-hmm. Austria-Hungary also in 1917, Japan in 1941,
there it is.
Germany in 1941, and Italy in 1941. And then also Bulgaria, Hungary, and Romania in 1942.
But never...
So since then,
wow.
There has not been an official declaration of war.
How did it happen then? How... It's like an executive order? I
forget. I forget what, like, if you don't declare it... I don't know.
It's bad that we don't know, right? Like, that's not good.
I would say so. That to me is what is like civics, but civics isn't something that's like taught in public schools really,
Yeah.
because we barely have time to like rehash the basics of history.
There's so much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and how are they going to find out about Lincoln exclusively?
Like, I was taught that Congress is the only one with the power to officially declare war. I was taught that in public school.
Yes.
And I was always under the impression that after 9/11, Bush went to Congress asking for a declaration of war. I don't know why I think that or where I heard that, but for some reason, that fact is in my mind as a fact. I thought that's what happened. I maybe he did and he just didn't get the declaration of war. That might have happened. Maybe he asked and didn't receive and just decided, I'm the president. Executive order. Pretty much just happens.
So they've cheated by switching to saying authorization to use military force.
So we're not real. I guess that keeps also like, who are we at war with? We don't know. It's not written down.
We're just here.
We're just here. We're just going to make sure that, fair elections, keep the oil flowing. That's, where'd Bin Laden go? I don't know. Let's find him. We're here. Why not?
Oops.
Classic U.S. stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When for you was kind of like the gradual, like, looking at other countries, like, out of the side of your eye about America? Or I don't know. I don't know how patriotic you are personally.
That's a good question. And there are certainly countries that are better. I'm trying to pinpoint when that was. Definitely the numerics have not been in our favor for a while. I think that America certainly has the capacity to be better than everyone else again, but I don't think it's at this rate ever going to get there. Right? It's not gonna get even close. Yeah. Right? It's going to take a while, and it's not going to happen in our lifetimes. One of my second favorite TV show of all time is The Newsroom, and I'm sure you've seen the clip, the opening clip where he says America is not the greatest country in the world anymore, but it sure could be. 100% correct. Everything that Aaron Sorkin wrote, 100% correct. It's not and hasn't been for a long time. And when did I start like side glancing at other countries? I don't know. I've always been hot and bothered for Iceland. I really do like Iceland.
I do kind of like Iceland. Can't lie.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind living on Iceland. And I've been thinking that for a while. I'm not sure how long, but Iceland's pretty cool. Yeah. A couple European countries, but like, I don't know. Europe. So.
Yeah. Europe's got the problem of like, it's so old that the bureaucracy is even more entrenched.
Oh yeah.
Even though a lot of their governments are like, post World War II sort of setups. Because like I know in Great Britain, a lot changed after World War II.
Yeah.
Got a big dense book that walked through all of those changes. And it was a lot. They like uprooted and completely changed everything. And they set up building projects because they had to rebuild most of the country. And that I think is probably a fundamental difference, is at least on a grand nationwide scale. Like we've had disasters in individual cities and individual states, but there's not been like a nationwide destruction to that scale.
Yeah.
And it's because like I didn't grow up in Louisiana, so that whole concept of like hurricane damage is foreign to me. Yeah. But I also know that we don't spend a dime rebuilding anything.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I was just talking to someone about this last night. If given the chance, could I go like completely off the grid, go somewhere, really anywhere in the world, and just exist? Like I guess the naturist, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just the naturist nirvana. Like just live off the land, grow your own food, have minimal reliance on the grid, and just kind of exist. And I thought, I do like electricity and the internet, but could I do it? And the answer is I don't know, but I think I could try. I'm not so ingrained, at least in my like fantasy world. I'm not so far entrenched into modern society that I couldn't be like, we could try not doing this for a bit and see how that goes. Now it's just me talking, and it's probably just a fantasy and it's all in my head, but
Yeah. By myself, I don't think I could. Just because I think having another person to like fill the silence is good.
Yes.
And honestly, I think what would be difficult is I keep thinking to like those first few weeks of just not having it, and that would be the hump to get over.
Yeah.
Of just like the impulse to go to the internet or the impulse to do things like that. It's definitely something that I want, in some capacity at least, to unplug more, especially as more and more of our life becomes automated in ways that I don't necessarily want to participate in. But yeah, I think especially now, I think it's actually like a growing trend among people our age of just like the desire to go and farm, even though none of us knows anything about farming. It's just like, we don't want this, whatever this is.
Yeah.
We don't want it anymore. And I think it's very comparable to like the lost generation. It's just like that cycle of the 1920s and the 2020s of like, is this it? Of coming to terms with everything, of reaching adulthood and being like, oh, this is awful. What was the point of anything that came before now? Of like, because like at the 1920s, it was, this idea of society and like civilized society is thrown completely out the window with World War I, and war is no longer like this fun social event where we can get the blankets out and sit with the family and watch the battle take place down on the grassy knoll. And it became this horrifying thing with like mustard gas and tanks, and there was PTSD, and we didn't know what to do with that, so we're just not going to talk about it. And then like this whole decade of excess, and it all collapsed. And I think it's a similar thing now, where we did everything our parents told us of like going through school, going to college, and now we have jobs and crippling debt, and we're like, wait,
yeah,
none of this makes sense. What are we doing?
Yeah, it used to work, but now I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah. I wonder what I wonder what these 20s, what the changes will be. And
yeah. Go ahead.
No,
sorry.
I was thinking of a thought while I was saying it. Go ahead.
Okay. I do that all the time. It's like my one pet peeve when I edit myself. It's like, just start the sentence and keep going. Don't start the sentence and pause and keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing that I think is going to fall out is housing, like even more so. Because I drive by subdivisions all the time where they're building these massive houses that start like at minimum $500,000. And it's like, who are you building these for? Because it's not for me. And honestly, even if I got into that income bracket, I'm not going to buy a $500,000 house. It's too much.
It's massive, yeah.
And I think, there's going to be this whole generation of just like austerity where it's like, this is enough. We cannot live outside of these means. Even if we can afford to, we're not going to. And so that whole thing's, I think, going to take a huge nosedive, and we're going to have all these ghost mansions.
Ooh, ghost mansions. I like it. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I guess that kind of, I'm trying to think if that, like, does that mimic anything that comes from the 1920s, where people just decided, we're going to start living fundamentally differently, and it starts with how we live at home.
Oh, that was depression.
But I think it started going the opposite direction in the 1920s. You're more the history buff than I am, so go ahead.
This is just me speaking confidently and from what little I remember. Because, like the 20s, it was all excess, but it was the thing where, like, the market kept going up. and it's like it only has so far it can go.
Right.
And then just everything fell out in 1929.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, everyone, like the Great Depression happened. And so that fundamentally changed like a couple generations, because my paternal grandfather and my paternal grandmother, they were born like 1924, 1927. So their childhood was marked by the Great Depression. And so their habits that they developed from their parents having to adjust and what they had to grow up with as children transferred to my dad. So my dad would like keep junk because he had this old Willys Jeep and he was going to try to restore it. It was just like garbage, just so he was like using things. Or it would be like keeping screws in jars just in case you would need them. And it's like, just buy, it's okay to buy things like that.
Yeah.
But I think we'll end up having something similar, at least in the sense of like, well, all the industries that millennials supposedly killed just because we couldn't afford it. And we were told, you know, the avocado toast was the reason we couldn't buy a house. So it's like, okay, I guess we're also not going to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think in the 1980s in particular, there was like this idea of just spending money to look like you had money. And so it didn't matter if it was completely useless. You had to have it because it was a status thing. And so I think for us, we're looking at all of that critically and we're like, why did anyone buy any of this? None of it serves any purpose.
And you say you aren't the history buff. Listen to you go. Do you think we're on track for another Great Depression?
Yes, absolutely. Will it happen 2029? I have no idea. But the fact that the market keeps going up, unemployment keeps going up, but then something else is not going up with it. And I can't remember what the thing going down or staying level is.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember either, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But it's basically creating the bubble and where it's like, all right, this may as well happen.
Yep. Brace yourself. Yeah, no. And shockingly, the market's been doing really well amidst the pandemic. It wasn't at first, but it's come back, and that's really confusing to me. But I'm like 2 PhDs away from explaining that. I have absolutely no idea what's going on with that.
Economics, I don't think, is real.
Yeah. I mean, money isn't real, really, so...
Yeah, that's the truth.
Oh, man, yeah. No, it's all very spooky, the fact that money isn't real and it's just worth what you guess. And yeah, all of these assets are tied up in the stock market and the mortgage market, and it's going to pop. It's a bubble.
Yeah, the fact that we're moving away from cash frightens me too. Mm-hmm. I am very much a believer in physically holding things, and so the fact that we've like moved away from actual cash just to like reduce the number of things people had to touch, that makes me a little nervous too, because if it's all just like numbers that banks are responsible for, what happens if that grid collapses?
Yeah.
And then all that information is just gone. Oh, my mom told me to get cash. Shoot, I forgot. It's fine. I'll do that later.
Yeah, there's always later, right?
Sure there is.
Yeah,
sure there is. Ah.
Yeah. My second favorite show is The Newsroom. My first favorite show is Mr. Robot. And Mr. Robot targets this exact thing. He's taking down this he's taking down this, like, the evil corporation. And it collapses the market around it because they have a lot of debt, and so the whole economy just goes nuts. And then the same evil corporation makes this cryptocurrency called eCoin, and that's the new fundamental currency of the United States. So it kind of backfired. And that kind of thing, because it's all just stored as, data, and Mr. Robot can get to your data.
I don't know. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's spooky. It's not like we don't know. It's just we don't think about it.
Right. Yeah. And it's probably a thing that would only take like a couple dedicated days to reroute our life around things like that.
Sure.
But who has the time? I can barely get to the post office before it closes. Do you think I have time to take cryptocurrency into account?
Yeah. No, I feel that. Yeah. But I mean, think about how much time it took for society to adjust to everything closing. That wasn't as bad as, the collapse of a currency.
Yes.
And you think it would take a couple dedicated days. That's optimistic.
Yeah. Well, especially when it's one thing to be like, all right, our routine is different. We're going to do all of these things and go through like the mechanical motions, but just then have the delay of an emotional response. Because I think it was probably May before the actual like quarantine depression hit me. Just because I think I'd staved it off because I was like, yeah, 2 months, we'll be back in business. I'll still get to go to the beach in July. September now.
That's true. It's more than
practically October.
Basically, you can round to 2021. Really, that's probably for the best.
At this point, May as well.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't know if things are gonna change by next year. Absolutely no faith in that. Yeah. No, it's that's why I think it's been nice to just have like little things where it's like, regardless of what's happening everywhere else, I'm just gonna sit here and feed my birds, and that's just what I'm gonna occupy my brain space with. We're gonna watch One Punch Man, we're gonna read books, we're gonna play guitar, we're just gonna turn off the brain for a bit. Because of course it's not going to get fixed. No, it's, and even when there is a vaccine generally available, well, we'll see about that herd immunity.
Right, that, and if insurance companies are involved, because if it costs something to get that insurance doesn't cover, that cuts out a significant portion of people right off the bat.
Yeah, insurance is going to cover it. There's no way they can't.
Oh, well, yeah.
There's no way they can't. And the government will probably step in and help out if that's a problem. Because the government wants this over as much as we do. Allegedly.
I was like, someone did the math of like the initial stimulus and like how long it's been, like that $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, $1,200 for 6 months. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's if you filed your taxes as an independent, because I did not, so I never saw my money.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah. There's a Beatles song on the Abbey Road record, just to get my obligatory punch card reference to them. And there's like a set of lyrics that's out of college, money spent, see no future, pay no rent. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wow.
Oh my God.
That's relatable.
Are they talking about me? Oh,
wow.
I'm so flattered.
50 years ago? Wow. Boys, how did you know?
How is the guitar coming along?
Not too bad. I've been slammed the past couple weeks, but it has actually been progressing kind of nicely. There are a handful of chords that are pretty easy still. The ones that get me are like the 5-finger ones.
Ooh, yeah.
Don't know how to do that, and I still haven't ordered a capo, so some songs I just can't because I don't have a facsimile. But no, it's fun. I'll practice the song for a while, and then I'll put the song on and try to keep up with the tempo of the song itself. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not going too badly.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a good skill to pick up. It really is.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like using that side of my brain.
Just an acoustic guitar?
It's technically an electric, but I never plug it in.
Oh, okay. So your neighbors have no idea that you play guitar, is what it sounds like.
Ideally.
Okay.
Ideally. I have no idea how thick these walls are. I can sometimes hear like my across the hall neighbors, but usually when they're just coming and going, which is reassuring for me because when I was putting together my couch, I was not having a great morning, and I couldn't find the instructions. So I'm just like, it's just pieces, I can put it together. I had a meltdown and was screaming at the couch. So hopefully my downstairs neighbors didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's probably entertaining if they did.
Idea. That's the hope. That's the hope.
She's screaming at her couch. What is happening?
Yeah, well, because, like, I don't know if people can hear if I vacuum. So, like, Saturday, I ended up getting up earlier than I normally do. But I was like, I'm not going to vacuum at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until at least noon. I'm going to give people that courtesy. Regardless if they can hear it or not.
Yeah.
Because I can't hear my adjacent neighbors. But I have no idea if that's just because I don't listen for them.
Yeah. Could be true. Could be true.
Sometimes I do have to be careful because I'll watch like true crime on my television, and sometimes, well, not even true crime, but like YouTube compilations of creepy videos. And sometimes they'll play audio from like disturbing 911 calls, and I have to make sure that I'm watching that like on my laptop at a lower volume so they don't hear like screaming.
Yeah, no, that's important. Yeah. No, I've taken to, because I up by my TV I share both walls, and I've taken to watching TV with headphones, which I never thought I'd do, but it's actually a much nicer experience because I can hear what people are saying, because the way surround sound is mixed is the absolute dumbest thing I have ever you know how things are, how the music and the sounds are mixed louder than the dialogue, and it's annoying, right?
Yeah.
It's because dialogue is mixed to the center channel and everything else comes out the other 4 channels and the sub. That just in general, right? So you can boost the center channel. That's something you can do, or you can just put headphones on, and a lot of receivers will mix it down correctly, so that it's not like just adding all the channels together so that it's still, the dialogue's still lost. It mixes them together properly so that the center channel is still audible. And that's just such a nice experience, because then you can crank it up and actually feel whatever you're watching. It's nice, especially if you're coming off of a TV that doesn't have great speakers. The immediate jump in quality. Yeah. It's not the TV's fault. It's the speaker's fault that it sounds bad. So the immediate jump in quality for bringing the speakers from over there to right here, that's worth it. That's worth looking a little stupid.
Well, and I think my TV even has like an earphone jack.
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't know. I suppose wireless could be a thing.
Yeah, some TVs have Bluetooth, or you just take the audio out, either over the line out or optical, and they have wireless stuff. Some smart TVs even support like Bluetooth dongles. They don't advertise it, but some of them do. Some of them do.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just have a really long extension cable coming from the phones out of my receiver. It just wraps around the room and comes up onto the couch.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah,
I'll see videos sometimes, especially of streamers, and like their headphone cords are so long.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I would watch them like walking away from their setup that I'm like, oh, that's why they're long. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because this one, probably 18 inches. I don't know distance, but
that seems really short.
It's just, well, because it's plugged in to the mic like just over there. Oh, it's probably closer to 2.5, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know distances.
Yeah. My cable's all curly Q, so I don't even know how to measure this distance. Like, it stretches. I don't know.
Oh gosh, you'd have to do like circumference volume.
I don't want to. Oh god, I don't want to think about geometry of wires. No, but yeah, it has to reach across all the way to the corner here, into the audio interface. But what I really hate is that it comes across my body, because it comes in over here, and there's no feasible way for me to move the audio interface to the other side, because that would be weird. So yeah, that's, I don't know, first world problems.
Yeah, my sister's got wireless, and she seems to like those, and I get the appeal, but I don't know, it's probably just like it's part of the physical need to have like the cord, because with the cord I know it's paired. And with Bluetooth, I get that it pairs easily, and that ostensibly
easily.
it stays paired the whole time, but like,
Yeah, and you also get better.
I don't
You
know.
get better audio quality without Bluetooth, and also one thing that I found is just batteries. I hate audio that deal with
Yeah.
that. I had a before I had these headphones, I had a Bose noise canceling headphones, and they took AAA batteries, even though you plugged them into a computer to do the active noise canceling and to amplify the signal.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
I
right?
would the thought of having physical batteries in headphones, that makes it seems like it'd be so hot to have on your head.
It's not hot, but it is wasteful because it does go through batteries quicker than you would want, and also you just forget to turn them off. You would just forget.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. Did it all the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's yeah. I prefer having the headphones not be powered themselves, and it's worked well so far.
Yeah.
These headphones allegedly have a high impedance, but everything I've plugged into them seems to just work. Usually, like I can plug it into an iPod and it'll work, and I wouldn't expect an iPod to be able to drive that kind of signal. Or maybe 250 ohms isn't as like resistive as I think it is. I don't know. There's certainly more there's more resistance in them than earbuds. It's like with regular old earbuds. But I don't know. I'm impressed every time I plug it into something and it works. It's like, really? Then what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I took electrical engineering classes. Nope, couldn't tell you anything about it.
Yeah. The double E lifestyle is not for double me.
Same. Yeah, the like, honestly, the most poignant thing I can remember about that class is the fact that I and my lab partner were the only girls in the class, and the professor deliberately didn't tell a joke because we were in the class. And so I'm like, fine, I respect it, but also, what's the joke, sir? And then I was in a phase where I would use like my on-campus money to get like those Mountain Dew kickstarts every time I had a lab.
Yeah.
And so I brought them enough that I became the girl who had them, because a guy asked how many of them I had in a week. And I'm like, I've never been the person who does X before, so I'm kind of into that.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of like the person who does X, you still wear your Crocs, correct?
Sometimes I wear the regular yellow Crocs. Okay. A lot of times I wear the ones that I made because they're just comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's getting colder. It works. They are getting damaged. I think boiling them was so dumb. I might get another pair and just bleach them and re-dye them, just because they're just, and they get dirty so easily. Yellow shows just so much dirt, and you can soak them in OxyClean and you can scrub them with Dawn, but they just keep collecting dirt, and it's a little sad. But
would Magic Eraser work?
It might. The problem with that is that Magic Eraser is better on hard surfaces, as I understand it, like walls.
That's, yeah.
And this is like, fibers, which is why I thought OxyClean could work, because you remember the commercials for OxyClean. You rub dirt into this white shirt, and then there's this big tank of OxyClean, and you watch OxyClean literally attack the stain. And it kind of worked. It just didn't do as good of a job as I had hoped it would. So
sure, yeah.
So now I have all this OxyClean that I need to get rid of.
Honestly, well, I mean, no one's playing football, but when my brother played football, it was really good for like grass stains, because the local school district for some reason was like, yeah, white pants.
Oh yeah,
perfect. Never mind that moms were having to like soak the pants in bleach every night so that they'd be white for game day.
Yeah. I don't know. I do like them. I do still like them. And like if I'm just walking to the store or something, I'll slip on the regular Crocs, just because they're still comfortable and they're still like the perfect shoe. But everywhere else, and if I'm like doing something more intense or strenuous, I'll wear regular sneakers. The sneakers I think I've had since high school. I don't know how they haven't worn out, or how my foot hasn't outgrown them, or if they've been growing with me. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I think I wore them so little throughout college that they just never got worn.
That could be.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. There is a comfort in like consistency. Like my thesis advisor wore a black t-shirt, jeans, and flip-flops every single day. And it was great. Yeah. I loved that. And the yellow Crocs made it super easy to find you, which was convenient.
Sure.
And yeah, but like it was a cool thing. I dug that. And I think it's cool when people have like a look that's their thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, I like it. I've also been slowly transitioning to Hawaiian shirts.
Which is also good.
Yeah.
I like that too.
But the yellow Crocs remain a staple, just modified a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I dig. Yeah. I think it's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's 2 people now. I think I need to yeah. What if anything has remained consistent for you over, say, the past 5 years?
Clothing wise? Honestly, there's some graphic t-shirts that I've had from like 9th grade, probably. And like I was never one to wear clothes that like actually fit my body, especially when it came to t-shirts. So I have t-shirts from like, before and after puberty that it didn't make a difference. The shirts remained.
Yeah.
And so that is probably what has remained. But then like the last 5 years, that's what I started wearing in college. And it was kind of, I quit wearing like structured jeans and swapped to like leggings and sweatpants, and that became the thing.
Yeah.
That's probably been consistent, I'd say.
There you go.
Yeah.
We all have a look.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's been nice lately, is because I've been meaning to go through my closet, but I know I need to stop myself because the impulse is to go through all of the things I don't wear because I'm not going to a physical office. Mm-hmm. Even though the clothes are perfectly suitable and honestly I should keep them. But it's just like, but what if I got rid of everything I don't wear now and I leave myself with oversized band t-shirts and leggings?
Yeah. I mean, it's your look. It's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I've got a Motley Crue t-shirt that's suitable for the office and one that is not.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the basic like breakdown is like, well, this one doesn't say sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and this one does. So we're wearing the one that doesn't say that. There you
go. It's not that casual of a Friday.
Right, yeah. That's been the benefit of working from home is...
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I wore my Uncut Gems shirt to the office. Because after seeing the movie, I had literally screen printed a shirt that there's like a behind the scenes picture of Adam Sandler, and he has like a plate full of grapes, and he has like all of the bruise makeup under his eyes. Mm-hmm. And I got that screen printed on a shirt, and I can't remember if I wore that to the office or not.
You should. That sounds. I'm trying to remember the picture because it does sound familiar. If I just look up Adam Sandler Uncut Gems grapes, will I find it?
Probably, or at least behind the scenes or blue suit, and it's such a nice picture because it almost seems like it was taken with an actual camera with like that classic flash lighting to it, and it's just, it looks good on a t-shirt. And it worked.
Oh yeah. I could see how that would be good on a t-shirt. Yeah. It's such a weird picture. I love it.
I know. Like, I've got an Uncut Gems poster somewhere in my bedroom. I keep meaning to put it up, and I just haven't yet. Yeah, but the Nixon poster came down, so I think the Uncut Gems one can go up.
There you go. Yeah. It's a good replacement. Nix it down. Adam Sandler up.
Yeah.
It's a good trade. It's
Honestly, yeah. Yeah.
Did Adam Sandler ever play a president?
No, but now that I'm thinking about it, I want him to.
Yeah.
Because I think he could do a halfway decent, like, Nixon. I don't know what it is about it, but I feel like in the right hands, at least for like an Adam McKay style political comedy.
Mm-hmm. Well, even if, even just as his own president, he wouldn't even have to be Nixon or anyone.
True. Yes.
What?
Kevin James has played president. He played president in Pixels, but
oh, did he?
Adam Sandler. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, as Adam Sandler hasn't given himself the honor of being the president.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Did you see? And everyone thought that this was going to be Kevin James' Uncut Gems movie, but did you see Becky?
I didn't. I saw commercials for it, and I was at least intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
But he had been making a ton of short films like over the course of quarantine, where he was like the sound guy in other movies, I guess.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen any of those, but I don't know. Did you see Becky?
Yeah, it was pretty okay.
That also makes sense.
It was all right. It was all right. You know, certainly not his Uncut Gems moment, but you know, it's nice to see that he could do it.
Yeah.
I think the movie itself was lacking in a lot of places, and it wasn't really his fault.
Sure.
Yeah, it seemed a little too indie to be like on the level of Uncut Gems.
Which is saying a lot, because Uncut Gems is pretty indie on its own.
Yeah, for sure, but like it even more so.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That does bring up an interesting point, and it's always something I'm curious to see where people lean. So, like, just in any given movie, do you tend to prefer comedic actors doing a serious turn or dramatic actors doing a comedic turn?
Ooh. I think we've seen more the former way than we have the latter. I'm trying to think of examples of the latter way.
What's interesting is the latter was the case for Leslie Nielsen of Airplane and The Naked Gun.
I heard someone told me that yesterday.
Yeah, it was Mental Floss did a whole thing on it, I think. But yeah, because I was like,
I had no idea.
Wait, yeah. I think because the former gets more attention because it feeds into like the award show season stuff. And generally, I think in the inverse, it's limited more to like cameos.
I guess it makes sense. I'm trying to think. I forgot all about Leslie Nielsen and him being a serious actor. Who else was there? I guess you could Robert De Niro and Joker, kinda, but that's Robert De Niro has been in comedies. He's been in Meet the Fockers and Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
And whatever the third one was called.
Oh, yeah. Little Fockers?
Yeah, Little Fockers.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I do think that's a decent example, though, because I don't know how much comedy he had done up until that.
I would pit him more as a dramatic actor. Irishman, Raging Bull. What's the weird one? The weird horror film he was in. Hide and Seek. That was weird, but he was in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's been in comedies and he's been pretty good in them. But the other direction. Kevin James, Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah.
I thought I had more
Melissa
examples.
Melissa McCarthy's done it a couple times because like Can You Ever Forgive Me was supposed to be her like prestige movie piece.
I didn't know she ever did anything other than play Melissa McCarthy, honestly.
It's yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I think, I imagine she can do it. I have no doubt that she can do it. It's just I've never seen it.
Yeah, I think that's where stuff like Saturday Night Live comes into a really nice effect, is it gives them the space to be silly for like just that amount of time.
Yeah.
Because there have been tons of actors who've done that I'm like, oh, they're actually funny. because the only reason I am even a little interested to see what Adam Driver does next is because he did Saturday Night Live and he was way funnier than he was in Star Wars.
My God, that was a good Saturday Night Live. That was really good.
Yeah. And Daniel Craig's kind of done comedies, but I think he was like just like the very serious Bond for a while, and so getting to see him do that instead. Oh, not that Colin Firth has never done comedies, but I think Colin Firth and Mamma Mia is just like, because he does like all of the, you know, very romantic drama type movies. Mm-hmm. So then they swapped over to that, and that was fun.
Colin Firth. I'm just checking, make sure I'm remembering the right person. He's not the guy from The Lobster, is he?
No, that's Colin Farrell.
It sure is.
Who's also really good. He's not
Farrell.
in a ton, but what he's in is always interesting.
Oh, this guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I recognize him from The King's Speech, or no, the Kingsman. So many Kings. I didn't know he was in both. I didn't know he was in Mamma Mia. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've also never seen Mamma Mia.
They're fun. They're not.
Don't expect
they're not
much.
Anything. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it is what it is. I enjoy them, but I also kind of like ABBA music. And the second one actually, I think, improves on the concept of the first one to where it's actually like a decent movie.
Really?
Yeah, like they play around with the cinematography. They give it a little more of an emotional core. They explore the relationships a little bit deeper because there's nothing to base it on. They're just playing around with the concept. So they just did that, and it worked out really well.
Yeah. Finally, an example of something that ran off the edge of source material and turned out better. Finally.
Yeah. Finally. Yeah, actually. Yeah. But it helps, I think, that Lily James is a lead in that movie. I think she's really good, and I hope she continues to do good things. But yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely haven't seen Mamma Mia. I've been meaning not to, but I don't know. It might come up. It might. I might someday. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of weird films. Yeah. Nothing like Mamma Mia.
Yeah, the first one is very like wine mommy, you know. It's you're here for Meryl Streep. You're here to just not pay attention.
Sure. And
you're here to hear some ABBA music sometimes.
Yeah.
Second one has like a little bit more of a story.
Story's always good.
Yeah, it's hard to make musical movies of existing music or even of music they write for the film and have it all work together.
The challenge. What's your opinion of the 2012 Les Mis?
I like some of the performances. I honestly am kind of lukewarm on Les Mis as a whole. I think the things that I enjoy about it, other people don't. And the things that I'm supposed to enjoy about it, the things that I don't enjoy about it are the things that generally people like. Because I actually thought that Sacha Baron Cohen and Helena Bonham Carter worked for the film, but they're generally not something that people enjoyed. I really like Amanda Seyfried. People generally don't like her performance in that. I think Tom Hooper's style of really close-up camera work is a little claustrophobic.
I could see that, yeah.
As a whole, I appreciate like the gimmick of trying to do it all live. I think that's neat. And I like that a handful of the characters are played by actors who've done it on stage. So it's all right. I was definitely like swept up in the hoopla when it first came out. But then I was in Les Mis and I'm like, this show is really long.
You were in Les Mis?
Yeah, my senior year of high school.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was just like a background part because that was a bloodbath of an audition process.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like we're going to have auditions over the course of like 3 days, where 150 people want parts, and because the director, bless her heart, is a very nice person, she tried to give as many people parts as she could. So we come to the first read through where like 90% of the cast is mad at 10% of the cast. And there was just a lot of people. It was like, I think 80 people spanning like 8 months to like 70 years.
Wow.
It was a massive undertaking.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm still very bitter that Rose did it the year before we got there.
Yeah, same.
I swear, if they did Rose while I was there, that would have been the first show I did. Easy.
Oh, well, good.
Easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a summoner of people, because it's like a big accessible show. It's a huge name. Everyone recognizes that one.
Yeah.
And I think it's one that everyone would have shown up for.
Yeah. I don't know. I actually saw Rose's. I went to Rose's Les Mis, and it was really good.
Oh.
So, yeah. No, it was. I don't know. I'm giving it a lot of credit because it is my favorite musical, but at the same time, it's back in the early days before I accepted the fact that I was an attention whore, I was looking at it from a technical aspect because that's what I was interested in doing, and that's what I was just coming off of. I was coming off of being the sound master for my high school's theater thing. So I was looking at it from a technical perspective, and they did a pretty good job. I'm like, wow, that's really good.
Yeah. It's a massive undertaking.
Yes.
But it feels excessively massive. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like just the scale of the music on its own is a lot. So if you can add anything on top of that, whether it be sets, special effects, lights, that just escalates it even more.
Yeah. That does seem. Would you think? And I think the hardest piece that I was ever a part of, and this was technical crew, was what was it? I just had it in my head. Into the Woods. Do you think Into the Woods is harder from any aspect, or every aspect, let's say that, is harder than Les Mis?
Yes, because Sondheim's music is usually a lot more difficult, and you can't rely on just listening to it. With Sondheim, you kind of have to know how to read music, because it tends to be really intricate and difficult. And yeah, I mean, from like a set costume point of view, I don't know. I think it's a little more malleable than Les Mis would be.
For sure.
But sometimes shows also aren't as big. Okay. At least that I'm aware.
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. But no, I am not a person who knows how to read music or count music. I am very much like the poor kid who has to listen to it a bunch.
Yeah.
And sometimes has just always been very difficult.
Yeah. I've heard that. I never understood. Maybe because I've never actually read or tried to do any of Sondheim's work. I was behind the mixing console for that one. But like, I never understood what that meant. That it was hard because you couldn't just listen to it.
I think where that comes in is people will memorize like the vocal quirks of the person on the soundtrack.
Sure.
And so if a person is embellishing the score, that's what they'll internalize. So if, especially like Bernadette Peters, who worked with Sondheim all the time, she might do something different with the vocal line that isn't what's written because she can.
Okay.
And so it's, yeah, I don't know. I've also not listened to a ton of Sondheim. So this is going strictly off of Sunday in the Park with George and Into the Woods. I think those are the only two Sondheim shows that I've heard.
Okay. Yeah, I just because and that's that does make sense. But I'm like you. I can read music, but it's slow and laborious. It's like translating a different language. I used to be better at it, but I'm out of practice. But I can play things by ear, and I can do that by ear, and that just always seems infinitely easier. So I never understood how like listening to something was harder than reading it. But I guess that makes sense if you're looking to a recording for your sole source of how do I do this, then yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I think it could be a timing thing that, like, you know, we only have a few weeks of rehearsal. You need to be able to come in and at least sight read, I guess. But I'm also an obnoxious soprano, and we just listen for the melody. We don't have to worry about, like, finding our note or anything.
You sopranos. Haha.
I know, yeah. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was when I was in 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and I couldn't just sing the top line. I had to be on one of the middle lines. Oh, I'm so sorry to our music director who had to help me learn how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor Lauren the soprano.
Yeah, or like in your show, I sang harmony for that show, which was
everyone sang harmony for that show.
Yeah, but that harmony was easier. It was easier to hear it.
Well, yeah, they were major chords. You just pick a note.
Yeah,
I wasn't picky. I couldn't hear. Like the piano was too loud. I couldn't hear a damn thing. But yeah, no, I don't know. When it's just pick a chord, just pick a note in the chord, be consistent. It's all written the same. The way I wrote it, I just picked. Maybe this person will be able to hit this note. I don't know. I wrote it in C and we did it in G, I guess. Whatever. I get to do that because I wrote it. Whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea how, because like on piano, I totally get how songs are written in different keys because I understand what that looks like. I'll be reading about songs and they're like, well, it's written in this key and it's played in that one. I'm like, on guitar, how does that make sense? I don't understand. I understand like tuning down a semitone now. I understand that, but the keys on guitar, I do not.
Well, if you're just playing chords, you offset the key using a capo, right? And you just and then you just basically base everything relative off of that. So if you want to play like, you know, three keys up, 3 semitones up, you just place it on the 3rd fret, and then everything is just 3 frets higher. It's all relative.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Get a capo. That's
yeah. So I can't play. I think it's obla-di, obla-da. I need a capo for.
I mean, again, you don't need a capo if you just move everything back down to where it's
right
based on
I could do that.
Or you could do it right and get a capo. That's always the option.
Yeah, and I have a ukulele still. It's just like a cheap plastic one.
Sure. Still makes noise though. Get on it. What are you waiting for?
Yeah. And that's just interesting because it's 4 strings instead of 6.
Yes, but it is pretty similar tuning.
Yeah. I'd have to sit down and play the chords again, but I want to say the shapes are pretty similar.
Yes. Yeah, so
D is for sure similar.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's the ukulele is just the 4 top strings.
Yeah. And it's also transposed into C for most of them. So a D on the guitar would be a G on the ukulele, but you would do it the exact same way. It would be doing 3 out of 4 of the strings instead of 3 of the 6 strings. And it makes a major chord that is what would that be? I guess it's a 5th off the root of the ukulele, but what would that be relative to the guitar? I don't know. What would you consider the root of the guitar? E? I don't know. That's a little harder to answer.
I think it's G.
Sorry?
I want to. Well, it's I don't know. I want to say it's either because it's E B. I know it's E on the outside.
Yeah, they go in 4ths except for B, E A D G, and then it goes to B and then back to E.
Yeah. I used to know that. There are nice resources online that I watched that explained all of the strings, and there was a mnemonic, which clearly worked.
Maybe it's G. Maybe you can call the root of the guitar G.
That's what I that's what I think.
Yeah.
That sounds right, like in a conceptual universal sense.
Because when you play the C chord on the ukulele, it's just the one finger. That's like the most basic chord you can play, except for, I guess, A minor 7, which is open everything, but that doesn't count.
Yeah.
So that's C, because the lowest string is a C, but that's only because the bottom G is often tuned an octave higher. So then I would suppose that if you call the root of a regular ukulele C, the same chord on a guitar is a G. So maybe it's G? I don't know. I haven't actually thought about that.
Yeah. Oh, no. Wait. Oh.
What?
This doesn't tell me anything. I tried to see if I could find, like, the root of the guitar. The soul of the guitar.
It's because of those extra 2 strings. I don't know if you could, like, actually say if it does have one.
Yeah. Like, I think there is a chord where you just straight up don't have any strings held
On the guitar?
but those are usually like set for transitions, because sometimes when people play as they're switching between chords, they'll let the open strings be hit.
Oh, sure.
But yeah.
I guess I can see, like, if you I guess you could do an E minor, which is the bottom 3 strings, and not use any fingers. I only know, like, the basic open chords on guitar, but that's anything else would require, like, power chords, maybe tuned to a drop D.
Yeah. For the most part, I play like the typical 4, although there are a handful that I really like the sound of. I'd have to look at a diagram to tell you what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like guitar. It's nice.
Yeah, no, it's a gateway instrument, really.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's the one that everyone wants to learn how to play because they see the kind of people who do play.
And they're cool people.
Cool people. Although I do have to say, I think the bass is actually the cooler instrument in the long run.
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
like you said, guitar's a gateway.
Yeah.
You gotta hear people play guitar until you realize, wait, all the cool stuff is happening on the bass. I was lied to.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the bass, and this is why I can't play bass, you cannot play it like a guitar.
No.
It's fundamentally different, even though, like, the strings are the same. It's just you can't, like, pluck it. You have to actually, like, do something completely different in your string excitement technique.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's and I still don't do it.
Yeah.
That's yeah. And I was
watching really cool bass players is something else.
Oh, bass virtuosos, mind blowing.
Yeah. I've seen a few compilations of, like, Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That guy's
His playing is insane.
Yeah.
I adore it. Oh man.
Oof.
And Paul McCartney's actually a pretty good bassist. I've watched him in some of the videos and his hands just do not quit.
Nice.
And it's really crazy. And the fact that he played bass and then sang too, there's good concert footage of him playing silly love songs, and he's singing really high in his register and then keeping all the bass stuff straight, and it's
not bad.
Yeah. And Nikki Sixx is the only other bassist I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I think his is a case where he's definitely gotten better.
There you go.
Because the thing with Motley Crue is if they didn't have Mick Mars, I don't think they would have left California.
Could be true.
It's, because Mick Mars is like an adult who had played in a band and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It's a completely different beast, and who knows what the root of the bass is? If there is, if that's even a concept that extends to other instruments or any instrument. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. I don't know.
I feel that I don't know anything about music theory, but it sounds like a thing that should exist.
Yeah.
I have no idea if it does.
Like, but okay, what's the natural scale of the piano?
Like C, because middle C is at the dead center of the piano, and you can play like.
Well, I mean, it is chromatic. There is a string for every note.
Yes.
I don't know. I can see it both ways. I can see the argument both ways, and it's infuriating.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with people who can like really dig into something like music and understand it on such a deep fundamental level. I just never had like the patience for it. Yeah. And it was one of those things where it's like I didn't need to understand how it worked.
Right, yeah.
I think it's super cool when other people explain it. Polyphonics channel is super good at explaining music. Sideways channel is really good at explaining music. I'm good.
It's above my pay grade. I just want to play some tunes. That's all I want to do, and that's all I'm going to do.
Pop music go brr.
Pop music go 1 4 1 5.
Yeah, it do be like that.
It do be like that, Mumford and Sons.
Oh gosh.
So I haven't opened the sponsor packet yet. I have no idea what it's about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mystery sponsor.
So let's see. Here's the cover sheet. Okay, here we go. Today's episode of Steamy Pile is sponsored by milk. No, that can't be right. Hang on. It just says milk here. Let me flip through my notes. Yeah, okay. I guess we're sponsored by milk. All right. Cool. Okay. Enjoy a cold glass of milk. I guess the brand doesn't matter. Who paid for? Wait a minute. Who paid for this? Who the hell is milk, and why are they advertising milk? Does it stand for something? Is this a political action group? No, it's not. It's their slogan. It comes from cows. That's their slogan. Are we being sponsored by skeletons? What is going on here? It doesn't even come with a promo code. I don't understand what this one is. That's so weird. I have to vet these sponsors. I have to read them before, because milk, come on. That's not a sponsorable brand. It's biology. Back to you.
Wow. Who knew at the bottom of the pile there'd be milk?
Who knows? Damn milk. That's upsetting. Like,
milk. Yeah. I haven't heard a Got Milk ad in years.
It wasn't even them, Lauren. It was just milk. It just says milk. And what am I to do with
the
this?
Fact that it's like, I don't know. The fact that it's like cow exclusive milk is what makes me uncomfortable.
Who paid for it?
Being sponsored by Big Cow.
Big Cow. Is Chick-fil-A behind this? That'd be weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Turns out at the bottom of the pile, there's milk.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
We're going to be counting cows.
Please no. I don't know. That's fine. Just.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for listening to our conversation this evening. This has been Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Tucker.
We will see you next time.